There's so many things in life that can make your life great. What does Jesus want us to do? You know, there are two sides of this. There is of the gospel, and there is the person of Jesus, and there are the principles of Jesus. There is the king and there's the kingdom. There is the presence of God, and then there are the principles of God. Well, we've had a lot of discussions recently over what are we going to do for this end time harvest? How are we going to do this? And I was even speaking with Linda yesterday, and I just told her, I said, sweetheart, I said, over all of these years that we've been together, I've never necessarily been called to be the person who is the evangelist. But I'm the person who's there after the evangelist comes and brings people into God's kingdom. So for this time, we want to talk about what makes a great life. What makes a great life? In the book of Revelation, chapter 19, verse number 7, it says, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his bride has made herself ready." Oh, that's interesting. His bride has made herself ready. Now we know the situation with Abraham, that it wasn't necessarily Abraham that could not have children, but it was Sarah that really couldn't. And until she became ready, she couldn't have any kids. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse number 11, it says, "By faith, Sarah had a barren womb. She was able to become pregnant, an old woman, as she was at the time, because she believed the one who made a promise that he would do what he said." So what I want to encourage you to do is to make yourself ready. What makes the great in life? How can you become something in life? People say to me, well, you know something, why would you want to be great in this life? We're going to be leaving and going home to be with the Lord. Well, that's true. That's absolutely true. But God never wanted his people to live in a place where his principles or his kingdom was not set up. He never wanted people to ever live in the midst of poverty. He didn't want people to live in a place of non-productivity. He didn't want his people to live with a government that just gave handouts to people, or even for those that think that they really deserve it. That's not really what Jesus really wanted for us. See, once upon a time, that there was the birth order was important. The socioeconomic positioning in life was important, but the status of life people considered, it was what determined a successful life. But lately, the focus has shifted. This focus has shifted, and some have perceived that as weaknesses, these things are people's strengths. They're the most important contributing factor to becoming all you were designed to be. Now, these traits are important. These traits that we're going to talk about, they're very important to every part of life, whether it be work or family, or even your relationship with the Lord or with your friends, because we need to make ourselves ready for God's kingdom. So what are these things? And that is, the first one is empathy. What makes the great a person who is an empath? What does that really mean? Well, it's not sympathy, because sympathy is just the formal showing of pity for someone else's misfortune. And it's not apathy, which is a lack of concern. But empathy is different. Empathy is your ability to be able to get out of your body and to slip into someone else's body, look out their eye gates, and feel the same way about the situation as they do. That's empathy. That's exactly what we need to make ourselves ready for being able to hear God's voice, for being able to be ready for his kingdom, because God looked down upon us. And when he looked down upon us, he had mercy upon us. He had empathy upon us. Jesus was easily touched with the feeling of our infirmities. Jesus is an empath. Number two, what makes the great great is the second thing that they need is optimism. A person who's optimistic is actually confident in a successful outcome of anything. Now, blind optimism is baseless hope. See, but you want a successful outcome to what you're doing. You can't just be optimistic. Well, I got out of bed on the right side today, or I got out of bed on the wrong side. You have to be optimistic about something. True optimism must have a reason for its existence. So be optimistic, because that is what makes you ready. We have hope for the future. We know that all things are going to work together for our good because we love God, because we're the called according to his purpose. The third thing is forgiveness. What makes the great great? A person who knows how to forgive. Well, if you don't know how to forgive in life, take the time to learn forgiveness. And every day, I pray for God to forgive me my debts as I forgive my debtors. And so I want to know more every day on how I can do that. How can I forgive people? Because there's real power in letting go of something that just becomes almost that it's an obstacle inside your heart when you won't forgive. This forgiveness will foster something for you. It'll foster openness with people. It'll foster you being able to walk into a room and be lighthearted about it. Be forgiving, because that's what makes us ready for our Master Jesus. The next one is be eloquent. What does it mean to be eloquent? To be eloquent means the ability to be able to speak and to write persuasively. A person that's eloquent is a person who can quell fears. They're a person that makes you feel like you can do something and you can become, and you learn so much from the ones who are eloquent at being able to communicate. The next thing we have is discretion. People that are discreet are irreplaceable to your life. Discretion is so, so important. So what is discretion? It's the quality of behaving or speaking in such a way as to avoid causing offense or revealing private information that does not need to be revealed. Discretion. And the last thing I want to talk to you about becoming great in life, is modesty. Narcissism runs rampant through the church. It runs rampant through life. And a lot of times, narcissism runs rampant because a person grew up and never had anyone encourage them about anything. So they had to start encouraging themselves. Every once in a while, I know that I have to do that. David encouraged himself in the Lord in 1 Samuel 30. There are times when you and I need to really encourage ourselves. But if we choose modesty in life, like Jesus did, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and I am lowly in heart, and you will find rest." You'll find rest for your souls. To be modest means that you're more interested in others than you are interested in yourselves. Remember that the most famous or the most favorite subject of any human is themselves. Never make a person talk about themselves. Be a person that's modest in front of them. In order to be successful, we need to have the ability to talk to people about themselves and not about us. Become a cheerleader to other people. Well, becoming great is that simple. The great in life. How many people do you know that have all of these, or even some of these qualities in their life? Because when you find a person like that, you never let them go. Jesus wants us to become ready for his return. The return, the imminent return of the Lord, is what is so important for us. Are you ready? Not only have you put faith in Christ, but also have you put faith in the principles of God? Because that will make all the difference to you in the world. Each and every one of us have been given the responsibility to take the gospel around the world. And if you can't take it yourself, you actually send someone to do it. Well, I'm asking you to partner with me so that I can take this gospel around the globe, whether it be physically or whether it be digitally. But I'll take this gospel around the globe, and I need your help to do it. There are people that preach the gospel everywhere. The forgiveness of sins. That Jesus Christ, he was crucified, he died, was buried, and was risen on the third day according to the scriptures. But how many people do you know are really teaching people how to live? I want you to partner with me to be able to do that. Please bring your tithe, your offerings to God, and click the link that's below in the chat section and become a partner with me.